the survival mind, why the brain prioritizes pain. Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. We're going to uncover exactly why your mind holds on to those negative memories so tightly, and more importantly, how you can stop letting ancient survival instincts dictate your future.
We've absolutely all been there, right? You're lying awake at night and suddenly you're cringing at something you said or did years ago. Seriously, close your eyes for just a second and think back to your absolute most embarrassing moment. Chances are your brain can replay it instantly. You can probably remember who was standing there, how the room felt, maybe even exactly how your stomach completely dropped. It's wild, it feels like it literally just happened yesterday. The vividness of that memory is just incredibly sharp, right down to the absolute most uncomfortable details.
But now, try remembering what you had for lunch exactly 3 weeks ago today. Draw a blank? Yeah, me too. It is a really fascinating paradox that your mind perfectly, and I mean perfectly, preserves a past heartbreak, a failure, or a rejection, but it totally deletes mundane details like a salad you ate just a couple of weeks ago. So why is that? Why does one cruel comment stick with us for literally years, while 10 compliments just vanish by tomorrow morning? Well, the answer actually has absolutely nothing to do with mental weakness.
Section 1. Built for Survival: How Ancient Dangers Shaped the Modern Mind. To answer why we remember the bad over the good, we've got to travel back in time. Think about 50,000 years ago to really understand our evolutionary programming. You see, your brain's ultimate biological job isn't actually to make you happy, it's simply to keep you alive. Imagine our ancient ancestors in that totally unforgiving environment. Say you eat a strange berry and get violently sick, or you hear this dangerous growl near a watering hole and just barely manage to escape. For early humans, forgetting the pain of a poisonous plant or a hidden predator, that meant making a second mistake. And back then, a second mistake was usually your last. So over thousands and thousands of generations, evolution explicitly rewarded the brains that remembered danger way better than pleasure. Simply put, forgetting danger wasn't safe. Forgetting a really great meal or a beautiful sunset, that's not going to kill you. But forgetting a predator definitely will. So when your brain brings up those painful memories, it isn't being unfair to you. It's actually just being incredibly efficient. It assumes that holding on to negative experiences leaves this deep protective imprint to keep you safe.
Moving on to Section 2, the negativity bias, why bad feels stronger than good.
Now, this ancient survival mechanism didn't just vanish when we built modern cities. Instead, it evolved into a cognitive feature that psychologists call the negativity bias. This is basically your brain's built-in tendency to give significantly more attention and a lot more emotional weight to negative experiences than positive ones. It means your brain automatically, without you even trying, treats negative information as far more valuable for your actual survival. It's literally the filter through which we experience the whole world.
So let's think about how this actually plays out in your daily modern life. Imagine you get 9 glowing compliments from your coworkers on a big presentation. Awesome, right? But then you get just one piece of criticism. Which comment is going to keep replaying in your head all evening while you're trying to just relax on the couch? It's the criticism for sure. Your brain fixates on that one critique because historically, overlooking one threat could cost you your life. Missing one compliment? Not a big deal. This same 9-to-1 bias totally shapes how we see ourselves. One single rejection can literally wipe out months of hard-earned confidence.
Section 3. Emotional and Physical Pain: The Neurobiology of a Broken Heart. Now, this next part is absolutely crucial. We tend to think of physical injuries and emotional distress as completely different things, right? But neurobiology reveals a pretty mind-blowing truth. Emotional pain, stuff like a deep betrayal or a really bad heartbreak, actually activates the exact same brain regions as physical pain. When we look at fMRI scans, they show heightened activity in the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula during social rejection. And guess what? That is the exact same neural circuitry that fires up when your physical body is injured. This is a massive revelation. It explains perfectly why severe humiliation isn't just a thought in your head. It literally makes your chest ache, it keeps you awake at night, and it physically makes your stomach drop.
And that leads us perfectly into the concept of social pain. Your ancient survival system doesn't draw a clear line between social pain and physical danger. Think about it. To early humans, being rejected by your tribe meant losing your protection, your access to food, and your overall safety. Being cast out was, well, it was essentially a death sentence. Because of that, your brain treats emotional wounds as critical, life-or-death survival lessons. That overlapping brain activity we just talked about in the anterior cingulate cortex, that is exactly why emotional wounds feel so deeply physical, and why they can scar us for years.
Section 4. The pain prison, when ancient protections become modern limitations.
While these deeply rooted, painful memories are designed by our neurobiology to protect us, in the modern world, they kind of turn into a trap. Look, we are no longer running from actual predators, but our brains are still sounding those exact same visceral alarms. Think about someone who failed, just once, while speaking in public. That is the initial pain. But the lingering effect? It's a brain that whispers, hey, don't ever do that again, for years and years. Or consider someone who was rejected in the past relationship and now avoids opening their heart at all. The original painful event is long gone, but the memory continues to generate brand new fear strictly to prevent another physical or emotional wound.
And this brilliantly illustrates our main conflict here. The brain is not malicious. It really isn't trying to sabotage your career or your love life. It is just trying to protect you based on its ancient, hardwired programming. But, as this quote summarizes so perfectly, protection without growth becomes limitation. When we just let the survival mind run the show completely unchecked, we stop taking risks, we stop connecting with others, and honestly, we stop fully living.
Section 5. Rewiring with neuroplasticity. Taking back control of your story.
But here is the good news. We don't have to stay trapped by our evolutionary defaults. The brain is not the static, unchangeable block set in stone. It is incredibly dynamic. Thanks to a phenomenon called neuroplasticity, your brain is fundamentally adaptable. Now, to be clear, our goal here isn't to just magically erase painful memories, because, well, that's just not how human memory works. Instead, the goal of neuroplasticity is to actively weaken the control those old memories have over your future. Every single time you create a new positive experience, you are literally teaching your brain something new and carving out brand new neural pathways.
You can literally rewire your mind by putting these steps into practice. First, try to face your fears gradually instead of just avoiding them altogether. Second, actively build new experiences that directly challenge your old fear-based beliefs. Third, reflect on what the pain actually taught you, rather than letting it define who you are. Fourth, practice gratitude. This is huge because it directly balances out that heavy 9-to-1 negativity bias we talked about earlier. And finally, treat yourself with the exact same compassion you would give to a close friend.
When you start doing this, you completely shift the paradigm. Pain can become wisdom instead of a prison. Every single time you choose courage over fear and you respond differently to an old trigger, you are teaching your adaptable brain that the world is much bigger and much safer than your absolute worst memory. You start writing a brand new story, and that is where real, tangible healing actually begins.
As we wrap up this explainer, I'd love for you to reflect on this for a second. What is one painful lesson that eventually made you stronger? Share your answer down in the comments because, honestly, your own story of neuroplasticity and overcoming that ancient survival bias might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today to realize they aren't alone. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the mind, and I will see you in the next explainer.